Hey, if you're looking to start a Topgolf-style golf range, maybe also have a restaurant and maybe golf simulators included as well, then you've come to the right place because we have built a financial model built specifically for this type of business model. And so I'm going to walk you through how the template works, how it is set up, and all the different assumptions that you can build into it, and ultimately how you can create a set of projections that are going to meet the needs of potential investors and lenders as you look to finance and get this concept off the ground. So that is the plan in this video. Now, before I dive into the details of how this template works, just a little bit of background. My name's Adam Huxema. I am the co-founder of Projection Hub, and we help founders, entrepreneurs create financial projections for potential investors and lenders. And so that is what we do. We're going to dive deep into this Topgolf style business model here today and really walk you through it step by step. But I'm going to put a link in the description of the video below so you can grab this template and follow along. And also, if you stick around to the end of the video, I'm going to give you access to a coupon code so you can take a discount as our thank you for sticking around till the end of this. So with that, let me go ahead and dive in to show you how this works. All right, so I'm starting here on our at a glance, and this is really the end of the process. So after you have filled out all of the assumptions in the model, you'll be able to see a profit and loss at a glance. You'll get to see some summary data related to golf revenue, restaurant revenue. You can have events, an events section here as well, and kind of a use of startup funds. And you'll also get a 5-year income statement, a 5-year cash flow summary, a 5-year balance sheet summary, as well as the income statement, cash flow, and balance sheet, all broken down by month for each of the 5 years. But in order to produce all of these reports, we have a little bit of work to do. So I'm going to jump back over to our input assumptions tab, kind of show you how to fill this out. So the first thing you need to know is that every cell that's highlighted in blue is an assumption that you can change. And so we're starting with, we can set the projection start month here. And typically what I would suggest is that you put the projection start month as your start of operations. So, I know there's going to be a construction period, kind of do that separately. Think about that separately. This projection model is kind of starting on day one of operations is the idea. And so all of the construction, all the investment, all the loans, all of that's coming in, we just kind of put all in month one of the model. So that all gets on your starting balance sheet. And then we're projecting operations going forward from there. So we're going to put let's say we had an initial investment of $1 million, and then we brought on some outside investors for $6 million into the project. On the accounts receivable and accounts payable terms, the accounts receivable just means you're going to get paid 100% of your sales will be paid upon delivery. So when a customer comes, they're paying you right up front. You're not providing terms to somebody, play Topgolf today, pay me in 30 days. That's not what you would be doing. So you'd be getting paid up front. On the accounts payable side of things, now you might have some vendors, you might have things like utility bills, different things that might get paid on a delay. So what we usually do is we say 80% of expenses will be paid in the month the expense was incurred, but maybe 20% are paid on a delay. For example, you could have a utility bill that you incur the expense this month, you get a bill at the beginning of the next month, and then you have 30 days or 15 days to pay, right? So you have some delay there and it impacts your cash flow. On the inventory side, starting out with just a average inventory carried as a percentage of sales at 30%, meaning we're just going to carry some inventory on the balance sheet month to month. And then in terms of fixed assets, so we have land. Let's say we paid $2 million for the land, and we should probably keep the salvage cost equal to the cost of the land. And then the range construction of $12 million, restaurant construction of $2 million. And then in this example, I'm going to also show if you want to also have some golf simulators, we can build that in here as well. So again, I've got all of those set to be purchased in month one. Again, we're going to have kind of that construction period and all of that just condensed into month one so that your starting balance sheet starts out correct. And then let's say we're getting a commercial loan for $12 million at a 10% interest rate over a 120-month term. So now let's go to the input revenue tab here. So here on the input revenue tab, we can set some just annual price increases in direct cost and wage expenses here. So this is basically just your inflation rate in the model. And then let's look at our golf revenue. So we can say how many hours are we open on weekdays and weekends. And then we have different styles, right? So we have the Topgolf-style driving range bays here. Let's say we have 90 of those. And we can set a different price point per hour for weekdays versus weekends. So let's say our average is $40 an hour on weekdays with $50 an hour on weekends. And then you can also set a estimated food and drink revenue per hour bays being utilized as well. And then a cost of goods sold for the food and drink revenue. And then let's say you also have some large group event bays as well. You could have their own kind of breakout in pricing here. And then golf simulators. Now you could use this template just for a golf simulator type of business model. So let's say you don't have any of the Topgolf structure and you just have a number of golf simulators that you're renting out, by the hour or for events, that sort of thing. You could make this template work that way. You would just, it's as simple as just highlighting this and hitting delete. And now we're a golf simulator business, right? So I just wanted to point that out. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to fill out our capacity utilization here. So you can set capacity filled by month. So here's your first 12 months. So it's by month, and then it's separated between weekdays and weekends. Obviously, you'd probably be busier on the weekends, so we want to be able to separate that out. The other thing to note is this is going to follow a seasonal pattern. So if you expect seasonality to be a factor in the future years, the model is going to just follow that same seasonal pattern, but it's going to apply a growth rate. So if you have a growth rate down here, you'll see that in the first month and the second year, you've got that same 20%, but a 3% increase, annual increase, bumps you up to 21% capacity. So then this will tell you your total hours sold, or kind of total hours rented out on weekdays and weekends, and breaks down the revenue, weekdays, weekends, and food and drink revenue. And now we have kind of the direct expenses related to the golf concept here. So we've got hourly wages of the front desk, average hours per week per person, and then the number of that type of employee. Maybe you have some staff that are, golf professionals that are maybe doing training or, doing other specialized services there. And then you can also have a number of servers that are serving those in the, in the Topgolf-style bays. All right, now we can have a separate restaurant section here. So you can set the number of restaurants that you have at the location, the average capacity per restaurant in terms of seating, and then again, kind of following this capacity filled or capacity utilization along with the annual growth rate. That will show you your projected number of customers per month. And then we have some menu items here, and what we can do is we can set, the average number of each menu item purchased per person. So if we have 2,927 monthly customers in this first month, we're saying that 25% are going to buy a soft drink, or 0.25 per person. We'll sell 0.25 soft drinks per person is the idea, right? So you can fill that out based on your plans. You can see in total, the average customers buying 1.95 items between all of these different menu options with a average ticket of $21.03. So then you can set restaurant direct expenses. You can set, how many days you're open, how many bartenders you're going to need per open hour, what the rate will be, what their hourly rate will be, then servers needed for open hours. And then you'll notice that there's, for each position, there's how many are needed for the closing. So we also just kind of keep in mind that you'll probably need staff for like opening and closing. And so we want to have a space in there to be able to put staff in there for closing hours. So this would be the 7 7 opening and closing hours per week is what we're getting at here. Okay, so that would calculate your wages expense and your food expense for the restaurant. And then we have an event section as well. So you can set the number of events that you'd have. You can follow the seasonal pattern again, and then you can have different event packages, large, small, medium events with different prices, kind of a direct labor cost associated with putting on the event, a direct food cost, other costs, and then what percentage of your total events up here are of each type. So 50% are large events, 20% are small events, and so on. And then you might have just an admin staff that is not directly tied to any individual event itself, but might just be the event planner essentially that's helping plan all of the events, right? And you can say, okay, they're going to work 20 hours a week at $22 an hour for that admin cost. Okay, so that is it on the revenue and cost of goods sold. On the operating expenses here, so we can set different operating expenses. So you can type in different operating expenses here. Up here, you're able to set up to 10 expense categories, and then those expense categories will show up in this drop down. And so you can categorize those, all of your operating expenses into those categories. You can set the cost drivers. So if you want to say, okay, this for sales and marketing or for marketing and advertising, we're going to just spend a percentage of revenue. So we can select percentage of revenue. And then if we put in 0.05, that's 5%. So it means we'll spend 5% of our revenue on sales and marketing. You can also have expenses as a fixed dollar amount here. So office supplies, $250 a month, right? So a lot of these we have set as percentages of revenue, like insurance, utilities, property taxes, and things of that nature, right? Okay, so on to the salaries tab. So we already entered in a lot of the direct staffing costs, but you might also have just some salaried positions that are kind of indirect labor, right? And so you would have your manager maybe, and maybe some admin staff, accounting staff perhaps, maybe IT support on staff potentially, because there's a lot of technology involved in the Topgolf style system. So, that's the type of thing that you might want to actually have here in a salaried position. So you can enter in the job titles, the categories that you can set from up here. And then you want to put in their annual salary, any benefits, what month that position is going to start in the model and end, and then how many of those particular employees you would have. So I would just have one of each of these. But for example, if you had 2 admin staff, you could just type in 2 right here. And that is really it. So that brings us back to our at a glance tab and gives us a full set of financial projections that you're now ready to go present to potential investors and lenders. I would always just point out to make sure you take a close look at the cash flow statement. This is kind of the key thing. You want to make sure that this cash at the beginning of each month doesn't go below 0 or too close to 0, right? So you see we kind of dip down to 2.5 million in the first month, but start kind of increasing cash right after that. So keep that in mind, make adjustments, come back to this cash flow statement and take a close look at that. So I hope that's been helpful. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us at support@projectionhub.com. or leave us a comment in the comment section of the video below. And again, as a thank you for sticking around to the end of the video, if you go into the description of the video below, there's going to be a link to a form that you can fill out. If you fill out that form, we're going to send you a discount code, our most up-to-date discount code that you'll be able to use to take a discount on this template. So we hope that's been helpful. And if you have any questions, please let us know. Thanks.